Welcome to The Explainer. So, what gives someone the strength to endorse something truly unimaginable? Today, we're going to dig into a really radical idea about hope, one that comes from an analysis of the biblical book of Hebrews. And this isn't just any hope. It's a hope so powerful, it can actually change how we experience suffering itself. All right, let's start with something we can all relate to, right? That deep, gut-level drive for a better future. It's this constant push, and not just for us, but for our families, our friends, everyone we care about. And you see this drive everywhere. I mean, look at the crazy real estate markets, with people fighting for their dream home. But it doesn't stop there. It scales all the way up to the global stage, where you've got entire nations competing for a future economic advantage. You know where else it shows up? In all that anxiety around education, parents, schools. Everyone's constantly pushing, trying to get the next generation ready for a successful future in a world that, let's be honest, is always changing. And this search for a better tomorrow, it even fuels geopolitics. You see, nations building up their economies, their militaries, all of it is to secure their spot, their influence in the world of the future. It's this constant forward-looking struggle. Okay, but this whole relentless pursuit brings up a really critical question. We all want that better future, for sure. But what are we willing to pay for it right now? What happens when the path forward means sacrifice and loss and pain today? So this is where it gets really interesting. An ancient text from the book of Hebrews just completely flips the script on this idea. It talks about people who joyfully accepted having all their stuff taken away. I mean, why would anyone do that? Well, it's because they were totally convinced they already had something way, way better. And this brings us to a huge paradox. For the people this letter was originally written to, their new faith didn't make life any easier. Nope. In fact, it made things a whole lot harder. So here's the fundamental clash in logic. The world basically tells us, pursue comfort, avoid pain at all costs. But for these people, their reality was just intense conflict. We're talking public humiliation, being thrown in prison, and yeah, like we just saw, losing every single thing they owned. And this is really the central puzzle the text is trying to solve. I mean, what kind of belief could possibly be so powerful that it just completely rewires our normal response to suffering? How do you turn fear and anger into joyful acceptance? It's pretty wild. So, what's the answer? Well, the text puts forward this incredibly powerful idea, a better and lasting possession. This is the core concept that basically rewired their whole perspective on suffering. Now, let's be clear, this is not about some utopian fantasy or just wishful thinking. The source makes the case that it's about grounding yourself in a different, more solid reality, a reality that gives you the strength to actually face the challenges of right now. So what does this possession look like? Well, it's described with some really specific qualities. It's a future reality where goodness, for once, actually wins out over corruption. And here's the most important part. Unlike literally anything on this earth, it is absolutely guaranteed. It can never be taken away from you. But okay, that of course brings up the biggest question of all, right? How could anyone be so sure about this future that they'd be willing to bet their entire life on it right now? I mean, where's the guarantee? Where's the proof? And again, the source is really clear on this point. This is not based on wishful thinking. The foundation for this hope is presented as something way more concrete than that. In fact, the entire argument for this hope hangs on one single historical precedent: the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus. He isn't just the guy who talks about this new reality. The text presents him as the living, breathing proof of it. And the logic kind of builds step by step. First, Jesus went through the absolute worst of the human experience. We're talking suffering, temptation, even death. Then, by overcoming all of it, he proved that a reality exists for those things don't get the final say. He essentially forged the path, proving that the destination is real and that we can get there. So, why does any of this matter? What's the big takeaway? Well, the argument is that having this guaranteed future hope has a profound and actually incredibly practical impact on how a person lives right here, right now. And this creates a really stark contrast. You know, some ideologies will say it's okay to hurt people today to build some kind of perfect world tomorrow. But this hope, it's modeled on a leader who forgave the very people executing him, so it does the exact opposite. It gives people the power to endure injustice with grace and to respond with goodness, not revenge.
So this hope becomes this engine for positive action. It's not about just sitting back and passively waiting for some far-off future. No, it's about creating a little preview of that better reality right now through acts of resilience and kindness and goodness, especially when it's the hardest thing to do.
And so, this ancient explanation of hope really leaves us with a pretty powerful question for our own lives today. When you are faced with real hardship, with loss, with suffering, what is that better and lasting possession that you rely on to get you through it?